Well, it seems the whole world is railing at the Trump administration at the moment over the Epstein cover-up. There is really no other way to say this. The consequences of this decision to close this case that anyone with an ounce of common sense knows was a blackmail operation involving the world's elite celebrities and politicians at all levels cannot be overstated. Many are saying it is perhaps the biggest blow to the administration and the reputation of those involved. Social media is abuzz with long-time MAGA loyalists and people expressing disgust, a widespread sentiment of betrayal, and what many are calling a complete erosion of trust. So we're going to revisit that later in the broadcast, along with some shocking statements made by the president just today. But we wanted to start out by visiting this article, which lists 12 questions everyone should be asking about the shameful attempt to cover up the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. The article comes to us from themostimportantnews.com, and we want to get straight into the 12 questions here. So number one, why were Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell arrested and charged with operating an enormous sex trafficking ring that supposedly involved thousands of clients, if no such clients ever existed? As Robbie Starbuck has pointed out, apparently we're supposed to believe that all of the powerful men that visited Epstein's island were just there to catch some waves and relax. Robbie Starbuck says this new DOJ memo admits that there are countless victims of Epstein on video, but no client list or evidence of other rapists they can charge. Oh, it claims Epstein wasn't using videos as blackmail. So Epstein was trafficking these underage girls to nobody. Is Pam Bondi serious? No one who has followed this for years believes that everyone who went to Epstein's island was just there to catch some waves and relax. Again, no one believes this for very good reason. What Epstein and his ilk did was pure evil, and this memo attempts to just close the book on it like there's no one else involved. I can't pretend that's okay. The victims deserve better and the public deserves better. Bondi just made it all worse with this memo. What a terrible, terrible idea it was to write this memo. It's also incredibly insulting to our intelligence. Question number 2. Why did US Attorney General Pam Bondi tell Fox News in February that Epstein's client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review, if no such client list ever existed? Now, there has been a response to that, both from Caroline Leavitt and Pam Bondi. Apparently, Pam Bondi wasn't actually referring to the client list. She was referring to paperwork and documents, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the broadcast as well, but still a valid question. Number 3, what was in the thousands of documents related to the Epstein case that was suddenly discovered in February? And there's obviously a clip there from a news article. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been made aware of, quote, thousands of documents related to the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein that were previously not disclosed to her office, she said in a letter on Thursday. So what was in those thousands of documents? Just a whole bunch of nothing? Really? Number 4, when Bondi claimed that the Epstein flight logs would make you sick in March, what did she mean by that? Attorney General Pam Bondi released hundreds of pages of information connected to Epstein in March, promising it would disclose, quote, a lot of names and flight logs that would make you sick. I believe this was around the time that the influencers were handed the binders, which contained information that was readily publicly available, and actually a lot more was in the public space than was contained in those binders. Question number 5. In May, Bondi confessed that there were tens of thousands of videos related to the Epstein investigation. What was in those videos? And you can see that news clipping there. She said in May that the FBI was reviewing tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. Bondi's comments and the delay in releasing the next batch of documents have tapped into suspicions that damaging details about Epstein or other prominent figures remain hidden. And we go to question number 6. Other than Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, why hasn't anyone else that was involved in the sex trafficking operation ever been arrested? Of course, if you've been following Elon Musk's comments on this, they've been very, very interesting. Number 7, the memo that was released on Sunday night says there will be no further disclosure in this case. Does that mean that the Trump administration's search for the truth ends here? Number 8, the memo also states that there is no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Does this mean that none of the men that were having sex with underage girls will ever be brought to justice? Number 9, on the night that Epstein died, why were there so many strange coincidences? Again, the jail had been told Epstein should have a cellmate and that a guard must check on him every 30 minutes. But on the night that he died, his cellmate was transferred and not replaced, and he was not checked on as often as required. 2 guards apparently fell asleep at their desks and later falsified their records. Meanwhile, 2 cameras in front of Epstein's cell malfunctioned that night, while another's footage was unusable. And then we've had some footage released now, previously unavailable footage, but it's a lot of questions about that footage too. Question number 10, hours of video footage from outside Epstein's cell on the night that he died has been released. Did they think that we wouldn't notice that a full minute has been cut out of that video footage? I want to say again that Pam Bondi has since responded to that. We will go over that later in the broadcast, and people can decide whether they deem that response to be acceptable or not. Number 11, during the time that Elon Musk had unprecedented access to the government's computer systems, did he learn some startling truths about the Epstein investigation? If so, will he reveal what he knows now that he has started his own political party? And number 12, why was this memo about the Epstein case released to the public late on Sunday night on the 4th of July weekend? Were they hoping that it would make as little news as possible? The author just goes on to talk about how upset he is and how he feels for the victims. And people are invited to read the rest of that article. One thing is for certain. It appears that the administration is looking to wipe their hands clean of this and move on, seemingly satisfied with their findings. What we can say, and from the chatter on the internet and social media, is that this has raised far more questions than given any answers. Extremely disappointing, given that the initial binder release, albeit extremely skinny, and the other information relating to Epstein and his ties to government officials, politicians, intelligence agencies, and even royalty, essentially proves there is a list of sorts. And we've been told that there is no physical, actual list, but through these tens of thousands of hours and tens of thousands of pages of evidence, surely a list could be compiled. They're giving us semantics now, as if everyone is looking for a little black book. The Epstein client list is in all the evidence. It needs to be compiled and released to the people, and then those guilty need to face justice. The Trump administration has responded today to those demands, and you'll be shocked at what they've said. We'll cover that later in the broadcast.